scanners indicate the rebels have activated an uplink station. Skywalker has been defeated.
Welcome, gamers, to yet another look at Star Wars Battlefront. There's so much to look at and play in this game, I thought I'd break it down into two separate pieces rather than do a full analysis just yet. I thought I'd cover the multiplayer side, which is obviously the biggest part of the game. It is predominantly a multiplayer game, and that means that Xbox One and PS4 owners, along with PC owners, are going to spend much time online. And this also means they're going to spend much time online playing the Walker Assault, which is the stressful part of the game. And I wanted to hold off on the Xbox One version until I can compare the two with the PS4 and, of course, the PC, which will be coming in my full analysis. I will be doing a separate PC section on that just to make sure that I cover it more thoroughly. Now, looking at here on the Xbox One and PS4 version, before I jump into the important metrics, I wanted to talk about what the actual visual presentation is delivering in this game now that we finally get to see all areas of the game and all the levels that are available from day one, with more to come, including the Battle of Jakku level, which is additional in the PS4 early access but will come to other versions at a later date. Now, one thing that I've harped on about for a while is the Frostbite engine and my love of it. And my God, DICE have really excelled here. Doesn't matter what you play it on, whether you're looking at the lowest resolution on the Xbox One or a PC or whatever, you can run it on the PS4 or PC. This game is absolutely phenomenal. It delivers so much, like I've said before with the Frostbite engine. It's got image-based lighting, it's got volumetric smoke, volumetric lighting, particle effects, a superb motion blur, sampling rate, 60 FPS. It delivers pretty much everything you want, including highly detailed geometry and foliage, some of the best I think we've seen this generation, along with its intelligent use of Froxel space calculations, which is voxels in frustum space, which I'll talk about in far more detail in the head-to-head. But collectively, it combines to create the most impressive and photorealistic looking game this generation. It is absolutely astounding what they've delivered here, and I think, along with their photogrammetry techniques, helps deliver such impressive visuals, which I think many did not believe, aside myself. When I did the analysis of the E3 demo trailer, I did say at the time this was indicative of what the game was presenting, and I think DICE have proved themselves, and myself with my expectations correct, in what they've delivered here. It is absolutely astounding. Just a quick glimpse here to compare the cutscenes in the game compared to that cinematic. You can see that they really were not lying when they said this is what they can deliver in-game. In fact, in points, it surpasses what you saw in that original E3 trailer, and it really is an impressive benchmark for what they've delivered here. DICE certainly have become the new forefront in third-party multi-platform developers. Well, the first thing I want to cover is the lighting in this game. Like I say, it uses image-based lighting, which means it can now calculate far more realistic and dynamic light sources, including a global illumination light bounce, indirect lighting basically, which, along with their physically based rendering techniques, which is again is superb in the game and impressive. You can see it here as I frantically unnerve and stalk this stormtrooper, the green hue bouncing up on his outfit. Or as I look up underneath the AT-AT walker, you can see the green hue from the trees and the grass bouncing up underneath. Again, on the lava levels, you can see the light shining up under the AT-ST, and again on the AT-AT walkers as they walk in. Just to be clear, this isn't indirect lighting here though. This technique is used throughout the game and it is dynamic. You can see here as we run out of the foliage and inside the building, the green hue disappears off of these stormtroopers because they're no longer hit by that light probe technique to pull up where that information and colour bounce is coming from. It's used throughout the game in multiple areas, including the snow areas here with the orange cover, and just the indirect lighting overall in the game is absolutely astounding. I just can't get over how realistic and how impressive this game actually is in action, and it's running at this kind of frame rate as well. The guys and girls at DICE have really excelled themselves, but I'll cover it in more detail in my head-to-head. In terms of the performance metrics, you can see on screen the two comparisons between Xbox One and of course the PS4. And what becomes apparent is that the PS4 is the far more solid version of the two. Now, combined with its improved resolution, obviously it's running a 1600 by 900p resolution as opposed to the Xbox One's 1280 by 720p. It is a much clearer display. Now, unlike the beta, they have actually improved some assets of the game, and they've now included the temporal anti-aliasing solution that wasn't really working on the PC release either. In the main menu, you had to kind of bug it. The foliage area in Endor is the best best test of how this works, and it looks absolutely superb. The Xbox One was the one that was most in need of this, and even though it still suffers from far more pixel crawl than the other versions, it certainly isn't a bad game, and it belies its 720p resolution at points, but it's very clear the resolution difference between the two, as you can see when I flip between them in this video, that it's a much softer display. As you may have seen with my earlier Xbox One First Contact analysis last week, in terms of the lower multiplayer missions and the single player missions, it holds pretty much a solid 60 milliseconds delivery pretty much throughout the whole time you play the game, and the PS4 is no different. It's ever so slightly more solid in that respect, but both of them deliver a solid 60 there that you don't really notice it. But in terms of this, what you're seeing now, this is the Walker Assault, and this is the heavier sections of the game that I'll predominantly spend my performance testing on this and the PC, and this stresses the game far harder, not only with the GPU work but also the CPU. As I say, it's carrying over 40-man teams in battles, and the destruction has been enhanced for more than I thought it would be. Certainly on Endor you see trees and destruction happening quite randomly throughout the game, and the Levolution returns, but this time the attack walkers get taken down throughout the missions. But overall there is issues in terms of the drops, and they mostly come from the GPU. Let's be honest, this game is pushing them very hard, but there is some CPU combinations there. Certainly on the PS4 the lowest dip I get is 51 in this demo, which just happens to be a point when they take down 2 attack walkers just as the game ends, which also throws in GPU work and CPU work right at the end with some IO access as well, and the Xbox One drops down to 49 at its lowest point. Now you can see the metrics on screen. Again, I've covered nearly 7 or 8 minutes worth of footage here in multiplayer missions across all the maps, and I've analysed it detailed. You can see the actual metrics right down to the drop frames, so therefore there's no ambiguity here. You can clearly see which is the better performing one, just like I will do now on all my analysis, and I have done on previous analysis before, to give you an absolute solid metric and not just opinion based on what it feels like when you play. One last final note is the multiplayer section of this game, which is a big part of it. I am so impressed by how static and solid the performance is on the servers. It is the fastest multiplayer game and the most solid multiplayer game I have ever played. It literally takes seconds to get straight into a game, no drops, no connections, hardly any lag issues at all that I've experienced so far across multiple versions and many hours that I've played. It must be stressed. EA and DICE certainly have made amends for their launch of Battlefield 4. This is absolutely the polar opposite of that game. But I'll leave you with a few more minutes of footage of the multiplayer Walker Assault sections, and join me hopefully this weekend when I'll do a full detailed analysis and cover the PC version, and I've got another video coming up as well. I also want to touch on the fact that now that I've hit 10,000 subscribers, I am really over the moon and thankful for each and every one of you that has, and hopefully I can keep that number rising and rising as you guys keep coming here and watching my channel and hopefully enjoying the work that I put out there. In terms of that, what I wanted to do was give you guys a chance to give me a Q&A. Now, whether you do or whether you don't, I don't really know at this point, so I thought I'd celebrate my 10,000 subscribers by dropping down below any question you want to ask, or tweet me. You can see the tweet link here on my Twitter account to give me a question that you want to ask on the video, and as best I can I will deliver a video which is a Q&A, and you can ask me whatever you want about whatever you want to know. It can be game related, it can be a question on development, software, hardware, whatever you want to ask me, even about my personal self. It's entirely up to you. I'll do the best that I can to answer as many as I can. If you don't want to ask the question, that's absolutely fine. Hopefully you'll join me on another video anyway. Anyway, I've talked far too much. I do apologise. I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this. If so, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps me immensely. And I'll see you guys and girls very soon on the next one.
Bomber received AT-AT coordinates. Watch out for Imperial!